Hello and welcome to Raju Notes channel, your pit stop for weekly current affairs updates. The updates tailor-made for students taking all kinds of competitive exams like UPSC, civils, defense and placement interviews. Please subscribe to the channel and stay updated every Sunday. Minister of Foreign Affairs of Canada, Anita Anand, called on Prime Minister Narendra Modi this week in New Delhi. Mr. Modi welcomed Ms. Anand and conveyed that her visit would contribute to ongoing efforts to impart new momentum to the India Canada bilateral partnership. The Prime Minister recalled his visit to Canada in June this year for G7 summit, during which he held an extremely productive meeting with Prime Minister Mark Carney. Mr. Modi noted the significance of enhanced cooperation between the two countries in trade, energy, technology, agriculture, and people to people ties. The Prime Minister conveyed his warm wishes to Canadian counterpart Mark Carney and said that he is looking forward for their upcoming engagement. The 78th session of the World Health Organization Regional Committee for Southeast Asia began in Colombo this week, bringing together health leaders and experts from across the region to discuss key public health priorities. India's Minister for State for Health, Anupriya Patel, attended the plenary session, underscoring India's active role in advancing regional health cooperation and strengthening collective response mechanism in South and Southeast Asia. The event was attended by WHO General Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus along with WHO's Regional Director for Southeast Asia Dr. Katharina Bohimi and senior officials from 8 member countries. The 3 day event focused on developing the region's health policy framework for the coming years, with discussions on promoting healthy aging through strong primary health care, curbing tobacco consumption, expanding the regional health emergency fund, and tackling antimicrobial resistance. The government has launched Employees Enrollment Campaign 2025 to expand social security coverage of employees. This campaign is intended to encourage employers to voluntarily declare and enroll eligible employees. The Labor and Employment Minister said the scheme will be operational from 1st of November this year to 30th of April next year. The ministry said employers can enroll all existing employees who joined the establishment between 1st July 2017 to 31st October 2025. It said this campaign will boost enrollment under the Social Security cover for employees and also be crucial for employers to regularize their past records with minimum financial burden. In Australia, around 120 troops from the Indian Army have arrived to participate in the fourth edition of exercise Austra Hind 2025 with the Australian Army this week. Indian High Commission in Canberra stated the exercise will strengthen defense cooperation and reinforce the spirit of collaboration and mutual trust. The exercise will focus on joint company level operation in an open and a semi desert terrain. The troop will undertake missions like joint planning, tactical drills, and special arms skills. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh held productive bilateral meeting last week with Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and Defence Minister Richard Marles to explore new avenues for strengthening defence cooperation between the two nations. Both countries are focusing on enhancing regional security and promoting a rule-based international order in the Indo-Pacific. United States President Donald Trump hailed a tremendous day for the Middle East, Asia, as he and regional leaders signed a declaration on Monday, October 13th, meant to cement a ceasefire in Gaza hours after Israel and Hamas exchanged hostages and prisoners. Mr. Trump sat down at a resort in Sharm el Sheikh with more than 2 dozen world leaders to discuss the deal. The US President, along with leaders of Egypt, Qatar, and Turkey, signed the declaration as guarantors to the Gaza deal. The document is going to spell out rules and regulations and lots of other things, Mr. Trump said before signing, repeating twice that it is going to hold up. As part of Trump's plan to end the war, Hamas on Monday freed the last 20 surviving hostages it held over 2 years in captivity of Gaza. In exchange, Israel released 1,968 mostly Palestinian prisoners held in its jails. Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu has inaugurated Fair Se Fursat. This initiative is aimed at providing freedom to passengers from the stress of fluctuating airfares. The scheme has been started by the government owned regional carrier Alliance Air to promote ease of flying in the country. Ministry of Civil Aviation said that under the scheme, Alliance Air will offer a single fixed fare that will remain constant regardless of the booking date, even on the day of departure. It added that the initiative will be implemented on pilot basis till the end of this year across selected routes to evaluate its operational feasibility and passenger response. Speaking at the launch, Mr. Naidu said that the Fair Se Fursat scheme perfectly aligns with the core principles of Udan scheme. He said that Alliance Air is carrying forward Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision of democratizing aviation and making it affordable for the middle class, lower middle class, and neo middle class. The minister said that the static fare system eliminates uncertainty and stress associated with fluctuating airfares, ensuring predictability of cost even at the last minute bookings. Joel Moker, Philips Agihon, and Peter Howitt awarded Nobel Economics Peace Prize and get 1000 crore rupees. The 2025 Vagaries Risbank Prize in Economic Science in memory of Alfred Nobel has been awarded to American Israeli economic historian Oel Moker, French economist Philip Agehon, and Canadian economist Peter Howitt. They have been honored for having explained innovation driven economic growth. Mokair will get one and a half of 10 crore prize while Agihon and Howitt will share the remaining half. The United States has come up with a $20 billion plan to help ease Argentina's currency crisis. President Trump met Argentina President Javier Milei at the White House over a bilateral lunch. The meeting took place shortly after the US government announced its financial package to support Argentina's economy. President Trump has made it clear that US economic assistance depends on how Argentina President Javier Milei and his party perform in the upcoming elections. President Trump added that the US is not going to waste its time if Milei party does not win. Argentina's financial turmoil comes ahead of the nation's midterm elections to be held on 26th of October. Argentina is at a risk of financial collapse. The country's currency fell sharply after President Milei's party suffered a significant defeat in provincial elections last month. The losses shocked investors' confidence in President Milei's ability to see through his economic reforms. President Milei has slashed government spending, cut regulations, and fired tens and thousands of public sector workers since taking charge in his office in 2023. Madagascar's military has announced seizure of power. A Malagasy military officer, Colonel Michael Randiriana, announced. Earlier in the day, the presidency of Madagascar announced the dissolution of National Assembly, the lower house of the bicameral Malagasy parliament. The dissolution announcement came when the National Assembly was in process of collecting signatures to convene an extraordinary session aimed at impeaching the head of the state. Protests erupt in Madagascar in late September, initially triggered by widespread power outrages and water shortages. The demonstrations have since escalated, taking on a political dimension with calls for government reform and leadership change. India and Mongolia this week inked 10 memorandum of understandings following bilateral and delegation level talks between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Mongolian President Kulereskok Ukhana in New Delhi. The memorandum of understandings are for cooperation in humanitarian aid, restoring heritage site in Mongolia, cooperation in immigration, geology and mineral resources, promotion of cooperatives, and sharing of digital solutions. On this occasion, both the leaders jointly released the commemorative stamp marking the 17th anniversary of India and Mongolia's bilateral relations. Addressing a joint press conference in New Delhi, Prime Minister Modi said India has decided to provide free e visas to Mongolian citizens. He said India will also sponsor an annual visit of young cultural ambassadors from Mongolia to India. Mr. Modi said relationships between India and Mongolia is not merely diplomatic but is a soulful and spiritual bond between both the nations. Over 15 crore 71 lakh rural houses have received tap water connections under the Jal Jeevan Mission, covering more than 80% of homes across the country. The mission focuses on ensuring long term sustainability, functionality, and reliable service delivery. In a statement, Jal Shakti Ministry said that as the mission enters its next phase, it is focusing on ensuring long term sustainability, functionality, and service delivery. Hence, the role of district administration has become pivotal. The ministry said that the district collectors act as a crucial bridge between policy and people, ensuring that every household not only receives tap water but continues to receive it reliably and sustainably. Deputy Chief of the Army Staff Strategy, Lieutenant General Rajiv Ghai, has said that around 12 to 13 Pakistani military aircrafts were downed by Indian Air Force during the Operation Sindhur, and over 100 terrorists were neutralized by the armed forces during this operation. Addressing the chief and representatives of 32 United Nations troop contributing countries at the UNTCC conclave in New Delhi this week, Lieutenant General Ghai underlined that Operation Sindhur was a tri service operation. He also highlighted that this was a fusion of military precision, diplomatic agility, informational superiority, and economic leverage. Lieutenant General Ghai said 88 hours is what it took for the enemy to come and ask for cessation of hostilities. He said India achieved the political and military aims. It hit 9 targets across the breadth of Pakistan, and this is a maturing of India's doctrine beyond the binaries of peace and war. Lieutenant General Ghai said military actions were targeted, controlled, and non escalatory. At the request and insistence of Pakistan's side, Afghanistan has agreed for a ceasefire this week amid deepening hostilities and deadly clashes. Taliban spokesperson Zaibullah Mujahid has said that Taliban has instructed all its forces to observe the ceasefire as long as no violations or aggressions takes place. Earlier in the day, Afghan's Taliban government said that the Pakistani forces once again launched an unprovoked attack in Spin Boldak this morning. Zaibullah Mujahid said that in response, Afghan forces killed several Pakistani soldiers and captured their post, weapons, and military tanks. He said that around 12 Afghani civilians have been killed and more than 100 injured in unprovoked Pakistani attack. He added that the Afghan forces were subsequently compelled to launch a counter-offensive. In Maharashtra, 61 senior Naxal cadres surrendered before Gadchiroli police and in presence of Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis this week. The Politburo members of the Central Naxal Committee, Mallojala Venugopala Rao alias Bhupati, has surrendered along with 60 other Naxal cadres today at a program held in Gadchiroli. All these 61 Naxals were carrying a collective bounty of 6 crore rupees. The cadre includes senior rank like divisional committee members, area committee, and Dalam members. Speaking on the occasion, Mr. Fadnavis said that this is the biggest surrender in the history of Naxalite movement in Maharashtra so far. He assured that the state government will improve the standard of living of these surrendered Naxals through a good job and rehabilitation package. India has been elected unopposed to the Human Rights Council for the seventh time for a 3 year term from 2026 to 2028 starting next year. After India's election by the General Assembly was announced yesterday, Permanent Representative P. Harish said that this election reflects India's unwavering commitment to human rights and fundamental freedoms. In a social media post, Mr. Harish said that India looks forward to serving this objective during his tenure. He also thanked all the delegations for their overwhelming support. The Human Rights Council is the main UN body with 47 members. It promotes and protects human rights around the world, reviews the situation in the member countries, and provides a forum to discuss issues. The council was formed by the General Assembly in 2006 when India was elected to its first term. India overtakes China as the third strongest air force in the world. List released. India has surpassed China to become the third strongest aerial power in the world as per ranking published by the World Dictionary of Modern Military Aircraft WDMMA. The US continues to have the strongest air force, followed by Russia. Japanese and Israeli air forces have been ranked the 5th and 6th. Pakistani Air Force has been ranked 14th in its aerial power. Well, that's all, friends, for this week's updates. See you soon next Sunday on the same channel. Till then, take care. Bye bye.